Alright, good afternoon everybody. Could you all just let me know if you are hearing me? Just say yes in the chat, please. Alright, so I see that you all are hearing me, right? So let's begin, right? Now, you all were supposed to complete multiple choice quiz number 2. I didn't get a chance to check to see if everybody did it. But what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be starting our review on the syllabus basically, right? So what I am going to start with today, I'm going to start with the review. At this point in time, we are not sure what is going on with the actual exam. The date may be shifted, right? But we just have to wait and see what's going on with that, all right? So classes will continue as normal. And so we're going to start by working past paper questions, all right? And the focus is on basically the question 2 in the exam, which is algebra, all right? So let's begin. By the way, if you all have any questions, either type it in the chat or you can send me a voice note in the WhatsApp chat, all right? So let's start with this paper here. This is May 2005, and it's a paper that was given in Guyana, I believe. All right. So let's look at this question. Express as a single fraction in its simplest form 2 minus b over b plus 2 plus b over 4b, right? So they want us to express this as a single fraction. So let me get a blank sheet here. So this is 2 minus b over b, so it's 2 minus b over b, and we're adding that to 2 plus b over 4b, adding that to 2 plus b over 4b. All right, let's make sure you have that correct. Right, and they want us to express that as a single fraction. All right, so basically we are trying to add 2 algebraic fractions, right? So what we need to do, the first thing we need to do, we need to find the LCM of this here, of the denominator, that's b and 4b, all right? So just like if we're adding fractions, we're going to draw a line, and the LCM of b and 4b is actually 4b, right? That's my LCM. Now, just like I've done in class, we're going to say 4b, so let me use a different color here. So we're going to say 4b divided by b, that is this b here, and we're going to get 4, right? Now we're going to take this number here and multiply by the top part here, which is 2 minus b, that's this, right? So what we're going to put here is 4 multiplied by 2 minus b, all right? You're going to put back whatever the sign is here, which is plus. Now we're going to say 4b divided by 4b, right? This will cancel with this will be 1, and then we're going to take that now, take this number here and multiply by my numerator on this side, which is 2 plus b, right? And that will give us 1 multiplied by 2 plus b, all right? So now we need to simplify. Now in order to simplify this, we're going to use the distributive law in order to remove the brackets. So we're going to say 4 by 2 and then 4 by this. Alright, now 1 by this here will just give us 2 plus b. Alright, so 4 multiplied by 2 will give us 8, and 4 by minus b will give me minus 4b. Right, plus 2 plus b all over 4b. Alright, now we need to simplify the numerator. So this will give us, you have minus, so you have 8 and we have 2, so we could add up that and we get 10, and then minus 4b, that's this, plus b will give us minus 3b all over 4b. Alright, so this is what they want. They want, the question asked us, express as a single fraction in its simplest form. Right, that is what we've done here. Alright, that's as simplified as we can get. Right, so this is the answer for part E. Alright, any questions about that? Are we okay? Alright, so let's move on to the next part. Alright, so the next part now, this is B part 1. They want us to factorize 2m squared minus 18. Alright, so they want us to factorize 2m squared minus 18. So let's come here. So we want to factorize 2m squared minus 18. Alright, now if we just look at this as it is right now, it is not a difference of two squares, right? Because we have a 2 in front here, we have m squared and we have 18. So it's not a difference of two squares. But we can remove the 2 from both of them. We can factor out the 2. So this could be 2 into m squared minus 9. Alright? Now, if we look at this carefully now, we realize that this piece here, the m squared minus 9, is the difference of two squares. Right? Now remember, in class I told you all, for the difference of two squares, if we have a squared minus b squared and we attempt to factorize that, it's going to be a plus b by a minus b. Right? So we have m squared minus 9. So therefore we can write that as, so we're not going to do anything with the 2. We're going to leave the 2 here. And m squared minus 9 is going to be m plus 3 by m minus 3. So when we factorize 2m squared minus 18, right, this is what we get. We get 2 multiplied by m plus 3 in brackets and m minus 3 in brackets. Alright, so that's the answer for that one. Now for part B, I'm sorry, this part 2 here, this one, they want us to factorize this. So let me write this on the next page, 3pq squared. So it's 3pq squared minus pq. So this is minus pq plus 3rq plus 3rq minus r, right? Minus r. Alright, so they want us to factorize this. So in class I told you all, basically they can give you 4 different types of factorization. One is the HCF method, and the second one is the difference of two squares. The third one is factorizing by grouping, and the fourth one is to factorize a quadratic. All right. Now, in this case here, to identify when we're going to factorize by grouping, we typically see 4 terms. In this particular scenario here, we do see 4 terms. All right. Now, what we need to do, we need to group our terms. So the first 2 terms, they do have something in common. They have P and Q in common. And the second 2 terms, we have R in common. All right. So let's use the HCF method to factorize the first 2 terms. So we have P common to both. So this is going to be P. All right. What about the Q? We have Q common to both. So we're going to do that. And therefore, inside the brackets, we're going to have 3Q, right, minus 1, right? Now remember, I told you all in class, don't worry too much about the sign that comes here, right? But let's look and see what is common between the last 2 terms. So the only thing that is common in the last 2 terms is the R. So this is going to be 3Q minus 1, all right? So therefore, the sign that's going to be here is plus R, okay? So when you're factorizing by grouping, right, remember 2 of the brackets, they have the same thing inside of them. So this is 3Q minus 1, 3Q minus 1. So therefore, the final answer is going to be 3Q minus 1, first brackets, and then we're going to take this number here, or this variable here, which is PQ. You're going to take this, and you're going to take the plus R. So it's going to be PQ plus R. All right, and that's how we factorize by grouping. All right, so let me just check and see if anybody if they have any questions. All right, so everybody seems to be okay. Alright, so right now we have about 18 people in the class, right? So a lot of you all are here. Alright, cool. So we're still not finished with the question, right? So for part C now, let's look at this. We have the mass of 1 marble. So the mass of 1 marble is X grams. A jar contains 400 marbles. And the empty jar has a mass of 60 grams. Write an expression in X for the total mass of the jar and the marbles. All right. So let's come across here. So let me just take a Alright, so easier for me to book the question here. Alright, so the mass of 1 marble is X and the jar contains 400 marbles, right? So let's write down some things here. So for part 1, they want an expression for the total mass of the jar and the marbles. So the mass of empty jar, so mass of empty jar is equal to, they told us is 60 grams. So it's 60 grams. Now, the mass of 1 marble is X and we have 400 marbles. So the mass of 400 marbles, right, is equal to 400 multiplied by X, right, which is 400 X grams, right? So that's the mass of 400 marbles. So the total mass, they ask us for the total mass of the jar. So total mass of jar and marbles, right, is equal to 60 plus 400 X, right? It's an expression they're looking for. So the expression is 60 plus 400X, right? So that's the answer for this part. Write an expression in X for the total mass of the jar and the marbles. The second part, part 2, they want calculate the value of x if the total mass of the jar and the marbles is 1100 grams. Alright, so we know that the total mass is 60 plus 400x. Alright, and they're also telling us that that is equal to 1100. So they want to know what is the value of x. So what we have here is a simple equation that we need to solve. So we want to get x equals something. So what we'll do, we'll leave the 400x on the left hand side and we'll carry the 60 on the right hand side. So this is 1100 minus 60. So therefore 400x is equal to 1100 minus 60, and that will give us 1040, right? So therefore x is equal to 1040 divided by 400, and therefore x becomes 2.6. Right, so x is 2.6, and we were dealing x is mass, right? So therefore you can leave our answer as 2.6, or it's really 2.6 grams, right? So let me ask you all something. Are you all okay with this? Any problems? Alright, so keep in mind, if you all have any questions, just please either type it or send me as a voice note in the class group. Okay, so that is it for that question. So this whole class we're going to be moving through some past papers here. Alright, it's a review on things that you should know. Alright, so we have a next paper here, which is May 2005, which I guess is not Guyana, but is the rest of the region. So let's start. So the first part, we have to factorize. We have 3 of them to factorize. So let's look at the first one. So the first one is 5a squared b. You know what? Hold on a sec. Let me make my life a little easier. Alright, so these are the 3 things we need to factorize. So the first one, we have 5a squared b plus ab squared. Alright, and you want to factorize this. So it's not a minus sign, so it's not the difference of 2 squares. It is not a quadratic. You don't have 4 terms, so it's not grouping. Alright, so we're going to be using the HCF method in this case. Alright, so we don't have 5 common to both of them. If we look, we see we have a common to both of them, so we can pull out a, factor out the a. We can also factor out b, right? And what we're going to put inside the brackets now, it'll be 5. You want to get a squared, so this has to be a, right? Plus, and we're not going to do anything with the a, so this will be b, right? So this is how we factorize this. In the case of factorizing, always remember, you could always double check your answer, because if I multiply ab by 5a, I'm going to get back 5a squared b. If I take ab and I multiply by plus b, I'm going to get plus ab squared. So with factorizing, you can always double check your answer. Alright, now let's do the second one, which is 9k squared minus 1. So we have 9k squared minus 1. K squared minus 1. If we look carefully, it's a minus sign, and 9k squared is a square variable and 1 is also a square variable. So what I told you all in class, we should write it like this. 9k squared could be written as 3k squared minus 1 squared, right? And then we go back to what we know about the difference of two squares. A squared minus b squared is really equal to a plus b into a minus b, right? So therefore, if we use that formula there, it'll be 3k plus 1 in one bracket, and then 3k minus 1 in the next bracket. Alright, so that is how we factorize 9k squared minus 1. It is the difference of two squares. Alright, the third one, we have 2y squared minus 5y plus 2. So this third one, it's a quadratic. Now, I told you all in class that there are some students who can just look at this and factorize it in two lines, which is great. You can do that in the exam if you want. So we're going to factorize 2y squared minus 5y plus 2, right? Now, the method that I showed you all in class, I said what we do, we need to find two numbers whose sum is equal to this number here, the middle term. So the sum has to be equal to minus 5, and my product has to be equal to this term here, which is my a, and this term. We need to multiply those two terms. So my product in this case has to be 4. Alright, so I need to find two numbers whose product is 4 and whose sum is minus 5. Alright, so I'm asking you all, can somebody give me what those two numbers are? So Darrell is saying minus 4 and minus 1. Minus 4 multiplied by minus 1 is 4. And minus 4 minus 1 is minus 5. Okay, that could probably work. So Darrell is saying minus 1 and minus 4. So we can double check, right? Minus 1 multiplied by minus 4 will give me plus 4, right? And if we add minus 1 and minus 4, yeah, we do get minus 5. So once you, let me see if anybody else said anything. Okay. So my next step here is to replace this term. You need to replace the middle term using these two numbers you figure out here, right? So what you're going to write is 2y squared minus y minus 4y plus 2, right? I'm getting the minus y and the minus 4y from these two numbers, all right? And now you're going to factorize by grouping. We're going to look at the first two terms, that's this and this, and we're going to try to factorize that using the HCF method. So what we really have common there is y. So this is 2y minus 1. Don't worry about the sign as yet. What we have common to both of these here, we can factor out 2. And this will become 2y, but the thing is, when we factorize by grouping, the two brackets must have the same thing. So this has to be minus 1. So how do we do that? In order to get back this plus 2 here, this has to be a minus sign, right? So this here is a minus sign. So therefore, to factorize this, it will be 2y minus 1 multiplied by y minus 2. Alright, so for those of you who are comfortable factorizing by just looking at it, that is fine. CSEC will give you the marks. Alright, for those of you who have problems factorizing a quadratic, please stick to this method. Alright, so you can always double check your answer when you factorize. Alright, so the next part of the question now, they want us to expand and simplify. Alright, so 2x plus 5, 3x minus 4. 2x plus 5, 3x minus 4. 2x plus 5. Alright, so they want us to expand and simplify this, right? So you're multiplying out two brackets here. So there's a method we're using here, right? This is what we're going to do. I'm going to take the first term and multiply it by everything in the second brackets, right? So 2x multiplied by 3x will give me 6x squared. And then 2x by minus 4 will give me minus 8x, right? Then we're going to take the second term in the first bracket, which is the plus 5, and I'm going to multiply by this. And then I'm going to multiply by this. So 5 multiplied by 3x will give me 15x. And then 5 by minus 4 will give me minus 20. Alright? So this will be 6x squared. Alright? And the next part is minus 8 plus 15. And that will give me 7. So this is plus 7x minus 20. Alright? So that is how we expand and simplify something like that. If we have to multiply two brackets, this is the method we're going to use. So this is the last part of the question, right? So they said Adam, Imran, and Shakil were playing a card game. Adam scored X points. Imran scored 3 points fewer than Adam. And Shakil scored twice as many points as Imran. Together they scored 39 points. Write down in terms of X an expression for the number of points scored by Shakil. Alright, so Adam scored X. Imran scored 3 points fewer than Adam. So can somebody tell me, give me an expression for how much Imran scored? I want an expression for how much Imran scored, right? You all can type it in the chat. Alright, seeing everybody saying x minus 3. Let me see. Alright, so Imran scored 3 points fewer than Adam, right? So therefore Imran's score is actually x minus 3. That is correct, right? Now they told us that Shakil now, he scored twice as many points as Imran, right? So can you all tell me what is the expression for that, right? What is Shakil's score? Alright, so I'm seeing some answers there. 2 multiplied by x minus 3. So let's see. Alright, so Shakil scored twice as many as Imran. So it's going to be 2 multiplied by x minus 3. So that's correct. Alright, so the answer for part 1, when they ask you for Shakil's score, this is what they want. Right? Write an equation which may be used to find the value of x. Right? Now you want to find the value of x. They told us that together they scored 39 points, right? Which means that if we add up all the scores, we're gonna have to do this: x plus x minus 3 plus 2 by x minus 3, and that is equal to 39, right? So this is the equation. They said write an equation which may be used to find the value of x. So that's my equation, right? I'm not sure if I missed out anything, but I mean the next obvious thing to do is to solve for x. All right. So even if they didn't ask that, let's try to solve for x. All right. I'll give you all 2 minutes and tell me what you are getting for x. All right. All right, so I'm seeing some of you all got 12, so let me work it out. All right. All right, so what we're gonna do, first thing we're gonna remove the brackets here. So I'm gonna say 2 multiplied by x, 2 multiplied by minus 3. So what I'm gonna have here is x plus x minus 3 plus 2x minus 6 equal 39. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring all the x's together. So we have x here, and 2x. So that's 2x plus 2x, which is 4x. And you have minus 3 minus 6 will give me minus 9 equal 39. So therefore 4x is equal to equal 39 plus 9, right, which is 48. So 4x equal 48, and therefore x is equal to 48 over 4, and therefore x is equal to x is equal to 12. All right, so that's how we solve that that question there. All right, so I see most of you all got 12 as the answer, so that's great. All right, so let's look at the next question here. So we have, this is May 2006. We have to simplify an expression here, right? So this is similar to the question we did previously. So instead of me trying to remember what I'm working, all right, so this is what we're trying to work out here. So we have basically two fractions, all right? So we need to find the LCM of 3 and 5. The LCM of 3 and 5 in this case here is 15, right? Now, just like we did the question previously, we're going to say 3 into 15, right? Or we're going to say 15 divided by 3 is equal to 5, right? Then you're going to take this 5 and you're going to multiply by a top part here, right? That's what we're going to do. So we're going to say 5 multiplied by, so this is 5 multiplied by x minus 3, right? You're going to put back your minus sign here. Then we're going to say 5 into 15. So 15 divided by 5, you're going to get 3. You're going to take this number now, this 3, and we're going to multiply by what's on top, all right? So that is going to be 3 multiplied by x minus 2, right? So the next thing we need to do now, we need to simplify the top part. So we have to remove the brackets using the distributive law. So we're going to say 5 by x. We're also going to say 5 by this. We're going to say minus 3 by x. And we're going to say minus 3 by minus 2, all right? Now you need to be careful when you're simplifying the top part here. It's a common mistake that students make, especially when CXC brings questions with minus signs. All right, so 5 multiplied by x gives me 5x. 5 multiplied by minus 3 gives me minus 15. Minus 3 by x gives me minus 3x. And minus 3 by minus 2 gives me plus 6. All right. And this is all over 15, right? So we need to simplify the numerator. So 5x minus 3x gives me 2x. And the next one is minus 15 plus 6. And that gives me minus 9 all over 15, all right? So this is how we simplify an expression like this. Right? We need to find the LCM and we need to add it like if we're adding two fractions. Okay? Now, the next part. Just so the next part, they want us to factorize two things, right? The first one is x squared minus 5x. So here's the thing, x squared minus 5x. So some students, they will look at this and they'll be like, yes, this is the difference of two squares. But unfortunately, it's not, because the first term, the x squared, it's a square variable, but the 5x is not a square variable. So you cannot use the difference of two squares there. So what you will do, you will factorize using the HCF method. So in this case here, we have x common to both. So we're going to factor out the x. So this is going to be x, and this here is going to be x minus 5, right? That's as much as we can do with this part of the question, all right? And then, so this is part A. So part B now, we have x squared minus 81. So x squared minus 81, that one is the difference of two squares, all right? And like I said, I want you to write it like this: x squared minus 9 squared. And once you have it in that format, then we can say the answer is x plus 9 by x minus 9. Alright, so that's how we factorize using the difference of two squares. Okay? Now, we have a next one here. I feel I need to put this on the next page, right? Let's see what's going on with this one. So they want us to simplify this expression. So that's what they want us to simplify. Now, if you notice, the top part, you can factorize the top part, and the bottom part is a quadratic. So chances are we could factorize that as well. Alright? So let's work on this. So the first part, if we try to factorize the top, we can factor out a, and this will be a plus 4 all over. Now what we should try to do is to factorize the quadratic. So the quadratic in this case is a squared plus 3a minus 4. Alright, like I said previously, some students can look at this and factorize it in one go. That's fine. Alright, but what I've taught you in class is that we try to find two numbers whose sum is whatever my middle term is, which is this. It's plus 3. So my sum is 3, and my product is equal to, remember what we're supposed to do? We're supposed to take the coefficient of the squared term and multiply by the constant. So this is minus 4. So I'm looking for two numbers whose sum is 3 and whose product is minus 4. Alright? So can somebody tell me what that is? Okay, so seeing plus 1 and minus 4. Alright, let's see, plus 1 and minus 4. So Darrell is saying plus 1 and minus 4. Let's see if that's correct. So 1 multiplied by minus 4 gives me minus 4. That's good. And then 1 minus 4. No. 1 minus 4 gives me minus 3. Okay, so he changed his answer, so it's minus 1 and plus 4. Let's see. So what he's saying is minus 1 and plus 4. Minus 1 by 4 gives me minus 4, and then minus 1 plus 4 gives me 3. So that's correct. Alright, so I'm going to replace my middle term, so it's going to be a squared. Let's put this at a minus one time. A squared minus a plus 4a minus 4, right? So we factorize this. If we look at the first two terms, we can factor out a, and this will be a minus 1. All right, don't worry about the sign as yet. We have 4 common here, so it's going to be 4 multiplied by a minus 1. All right, so therefore this has to be plus. So therefore when I factorize this, I'm going to get a minus 1 multiplied by a plus 4. Alright, so all I was trying to do here, I was trying to factorize the bottom piece. So that bottom piece is really equal to that. So therefore, I can write the bottom piece as a minus 1 by a plus 4. All right, and we can still simplify this because you have a plus 4 here and you have a plus 4 here. So my final answer is going to be a over a minus 1. All right, so the question asks us to simplify. This is what we've done. We've simplified it. All right, I think we have one more piece to the question. All right, so part C. Listen, I feel I need to put in a new page here. Give me a sec. All right, so last part of the question, they said two cassettes and 3 CDs cost $175, and 4 cassettes and 1 CD cost $125. Given that one cassette is X dollars and 1 CD is Y, write 2 equations in X and Y to represent the information. All right, so basically what we're trying to do here is translate between words and a mathematical expression. So cassettes, they told us is X, right? So 2 cassettes is really 2X, and they said and 3 CDs, the CD is Y, so plus 3Y equal $175, right? So the question asking us for 2 equations, all right? So this is my first equation. This is one. The next thing is they told us that 4 cassettes and 1 CD. So it's going to be 4X plus 1 CD, which is Y, is equal to $125. So this is my second equation. All right. So what we've done here, we've written 2 equations, right, to represent the information that they've given to us. Now they want us to find out what is the cost of 1 cassette. All right. So you want to find the cost of 1 cassette, but 1 cassette is actually X dollars, right? So the question wants us to find or solve for X. So this here, what we have here is a pair of simultaneous equations, and we want to solve for X. So when you have a simultaneous equation, there are several ways you can solve a simultaneous equation. We can use substitution, that's one method. We can use elimination. We could even draw a graph to find a solution to a simultaneous equation. All right. So what I'm going to do here though, I'm going to use substitution. So from my second equation, I can say that Y is equal to 125 minus 4X, right? So my second equation, I can write it as this: Y equal 125 minus 4X. So what I could do now, I can say substituting. So I'm going to substitute Y into equation 1. Alright, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to substitute Y into equation 1. So if I substitute Y into equation 1, it means that everywhere I see Y, I'm going to put 125 minus 4X. So therefore, in equation 1, we had here 2x plus 3y, right? But in this case here, y is equal to 125 minus 4x, which is equal to 175. All right, so this is my equation, right? And what I'm trying to do, or the question is trying to ask us, they ask us the cost of 1 cassette, right? So we're trying to find x basically. So what we need to do, we need to simplify this and solve this equation. So anytime we have brackets, we need to remove the brackets by using the distributive law. All right, so let's go. So we can't do anything with the 2x, so leave that as is, and then we're going to say 3 multiplied by 125, right, which is 375. So this is 375, and then 3 multiplied by minus 4 is minus 12x, which is equal to 175, right? On the left hand side now, we're going to have 2x minus 12x equal 175 minus 375. Cool? So then we had to work out on the left hand side, 2 minus 12 will give me minus 10x. So this is minus 10x is equal to, and 175 minus 375 is equal to minus 200. Right? So therefore x is equal to minus 200 all over minus 10. So therefore x is equal to 20, right? Because this will cancel with this, so you get 20. And x is really cost of one cassette, so it's really $20. Alright, so that is the solution to May 2006. Alright, so let me know if everybody's okay. Cool. So everybody seems to be doing okay. Let's move on to our next question. All right. So this one is May 2007. All right. Let me just copy something here. Alright, so this is May 2007, right? So this question is about binary operations, and they're telling us that A star B is equal to AB minus B on A. Now, the first thing I want you to understand, this question, right, it's called a binary operation question. Binary meaning two, we're looking at two variables. Now there's this one and this one. And this here in the middle is what you call a binary operator, right? Now I want you to keep in mind, now even though you've seen a star there, in the exam, CSEC could give you a box. They could give you a circle. They could give you the star. They could basically use any symbol they want to represent a binary operation, right? So let's do the first part. So the first part is saying A star B is equal to AB minus B over A, right? And they want us in part 1 to work out 4 star 8, right? Now this question is essentially a substitution question, right? Because what it's really saying is that here what A is 4 and B is 8. That's all they're telling you. Alright, so A by B would be 4 multiplied by 8, right, minus B over A. B in this case is 8 and A is 4. So this is 8 4s 32 minus 8 divided by 4 will give me 2. So therefore my answer in this case is simply 30. So a binary operation question is simply a substitution question. That's all it is, right? So that is the answer for part 1. For part 2 now, you want to work out 2 star open brackets 4 star 8. Alright, now what we have to do here, we need to work out the bracket first, which is 4 star 8. But here's the thing, you already worked out 4 star 8. You worked out that in part 1. So what the question is really asking you to work out is 2 star the answer you got before, which is 30. Alright, and now we're gonna use the same formula or this same expression here, AB minus B on A. So AB will be 2 multiplied by B, in this case is 30, minus b over a. In the case of b is 30 and a is 2. So this is 30 by 2 gives me 60 minus 30 divided by 2 is 15, and 60 minus 15 is 45. Alright, you all make sure and double check in case I have a slight error, right? Alright, so the answer is 30 and 45. Now let's move on to the next one. So the next one here now, we want to simplify. We're doing this one here, part B. You want to simplify this expression. So I can work this one right on the side here. So this is 5p over 3q divided by 4p squared all over q. Right? So basically what you're doing, you're dividing two fractions, right? So this becomes, so this here is 5p divided by 3q, right? Since we are dividing by a fraction, we need to change the sign to multiply, and we're going to invert this here. You're going to invert that. So you're going to put q over 4p squared, right? Now, we need to start simplifying here. So this q will cancel with this q. This p will go into this one time. So my final answer will be 5 over 3 multiplied by 4, which is 12p. Right? So the answer is 5 over 12p. Alright, so when I simplify my expression, that's what I'm going to get. Alright, so let's do the last part, right? So they said a stadium has two sections, has a section A and a section B, right? And the tickets for section A is $8, and the ticket for section B is B dollars. Johanna paid $105 for 5 section A tickets and 3 section B tickets. And I pronounce this word by Raya paid $63 for 4 section A tickets and 1 section B ticket. Write 2 equations in A and B to represent the above information. Alright? Now, the first equation, right, we have Johanna, and she is 5 section A tickets. So therefore, that is 5 by A. So hers is 5A plus 3B. Right? All I'm doing is translating the words into an equation. And when we add that up, we're going to get 105. 105. Right? That's one equation. The second one now, we need to look at Raya. Right? And she got 4 section A tickets. So that's 4A plus 1 section B. So plus B is equal to $63. Alright? So the first part, write 2 equations to represent information. That's this. Alright? So those are my two equations. The next thing they want us to do now, they want us to calculate the values of A and B, right? So this is basically a simultaneous equation, right? So let's call this equation 1 and let's call this equation 2, right? Now, with a simultaneous equation, like I said in the previous question, you have two ways you can do this. You can either use substitution or elimination. So because I used substitution in the last one, let me use elimination for this one, right? So here's how we need to do elimination. With elimination, we must either eliminate, in this case here, A, or we can eliminate B. Now, we need to look to know how we're going to eliminate. You have to look at 5A here and I have 4A here. I have 3B here and I have B here. Now, the whole process of elimination is that we need to ensure that when we manipulate the equations, we have the same amount of A's or the same amount of B's, right? So what that means is that this is what I'm going to do. We have 3B in this one here, but you have B here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to multiply equation. So multiply equation 2, right, by 3. Right? So I'm multiplying equation 2 by 3. If I multiply equation 2 by 3, I'm going to get 12A plus 3B, right, which is equal to 63 by 3, which is 189. So this is 189, right? So I've manipulated equation 2, so I need to call this something else. I'm going to call this equation 3, right? So let me go across here now. So I have these equations I'm working with now. 5A plus 3B equal 105, right? That was my equation 1. I also have a new equation which is 12A plus 3B equal 189. And I'm calling that equation 3, right? So here's what I need to do. This method is called elimination method. So notice I have 3B in the first equation and I have 3B in the second equation. So what I can do, I can say equation, third equation, minus equation 1. Now you can do the subtraction the other way, but just to make your life easier, take the third equation and subtract equation 1. So I have 12A minus 5A, that is going to give me 7A, and 3B minus 3B gives me 0. And then I'm going to say 189 minus 105, and that gives me 84. Right? So therefore A is equal to 84 over 7. So therefore A is equal to 12. Right? So A is equal to 12. And that's just part of it. We worked out A. Next thing we need to do is to find what B is. Right? In order to find B, I can take that A and plug it into either equation 1, equation 2, or equation 3. It's up to you. Doesn't matter. So I'm gonna, let's see which one is the easiest one to do it. I'm gonna substitute. So I'm gonna substitute A equal 12 into equation 2. Right? That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna substitute A equal 12 into equation 2. So therefore 4 by A, so that's 4 by 12 plus B is equal to 63. 12 4s are 48 plus B is equal to 63. So therefore B is equal to 63 minus 48. So therefore B is equal to 15. So this is 1,5. Right? So the question asks us to find the values of A and B. Alright? So we've gotten 12 and 15. So those are your solutions for that question. Alright? Alright, so I'm going to move on because remember this is a review session. Alright, so let's look at this one here. So this is May 2008, right? So what I suggest to you all, when you're reviewing the video, what you can do is, since you know what year the papers are, you can try to do the questions and look at the solution after, right? Because you need to be able to practice in order to do well in this exam. So, in this first part, they've given us some values. They said A is equal to 2, B is equal to -1, and C is equal to 3, right? And they want us to find the value of each of these things here. So the first one, A multiplied by B plus C. So A is 2, B is -1, and C is 3, right? So this is the same as saying 2 minus 1 plus 3 is 2. So therefore this answer here is 4, right? So all you're doing is substituting what A is, what B is, and what C is, all right? Alright, okay, so let's work this one here now. So the part 2 now, we want to substitute, right? So it looks a little more complicated, but just take your time and substitute each variable accordingly. So we have 4b squared. So it's 4 multiplied by b squared, b is -1, minus 2ac. So it's 2 by a, which is also 2, by c, which is 3. And then at the bottom now we have a plus b plus c. So this is 2 plus -1 plus 3. Now you need to be careful how you're simplifying this. So -1 squared is +1. So this is 4. And this is 2 2s are 4, 3s are 12. So this is -12 all over. 2 plus -1 is really the same as saying 2 minus 1, which is 1. And 1 plus 3 is 4. So this is 4 minus 12 is -8 divided by 4, and you're going to get -2. Alright, so when you substitute, you're going to get -2 in this case. The next part is this, and what they want us to do is they want us to change the following statements into algebraic expressions. Alright, so you all need to be able to convert between worded statements, like convert the worded statements into algebraic expressions, right? So for example, this one is saying 4 times the sum of x and 5. Now, the sum of x and 5, right? What does that mean? Can somebody type in the chat, what does the sum of x and 5 mean? Alright, so somebody's saying x plus 5. That is true. So the sum of x and 5 is x plus 5. Right? So this is part 1 we're working out here. So the sum of x plus 5 is really x plus 5. Right? And what they are saying is 4 times that. So 4 times that is actually 4 times all of this. Alright? So that's your answer for part 1. Part 2. They said 16 larger than the product of A and B. Right? So 16 larger, now larger means, let's do the product part first. So product of A and B really means A multiplied by B. That is product. Right? And it's 16 larger than that. When it's 16 larger than that, it means that we have to add 16 to it. Right? So the answer for that one is 16 plus AB. Right? So this next part here, they want us to solve this equation. Right, let me go on a blank page here. So they want us to solve this expression, right? Or this equation, sorry. So we have 15 minus 4x equal to, open brackets, 3x plus 1. All right, how are we solving this? So on the left hand side, we can't do anything as yet. So 15 minus 4x equal, and what I'm going to do, so somebody was now asking me what is meant by the distributive law here. So what I'm going to do, to remove brackets, I need to take the term that is outside the bracket, which is the 2, and multiply by 3x. I also need to take that 2 and multiply by plus 1. So when I multiply 2 by 3x, I'm going to get 6x, and 2 by plus 1 will give me plus 2. Alright? Now, we have options here. We can carry all the x's on the left hand side or carry everything on the right hand side. It's up to you. Alright? So I'm going to carry all the x's on the left hand side. So this is going to be minus 4x. I have plus 6 here, so this will become minus 6x. Equal sign under equal sign, please. You have the 2 that is already here, and then I need to move the 15. So it's 2 minus 15. Alright? So minus 4x minus 6x will give me minus 10x. Right? And then 2 minus 15, right, will give me minus 13. So therefore x is equal to minus 13 over minus 10. Right? Therefore x is equal to 13 over 10. So we can leave our answer as this, but this is basically how we solve an equation in this format. Okay? Alright, so the last part of the question, it wants us, you have 2 things to factorize. Okay, so the first one is 6a squared b cubed plus 12a 4b. Alright, so we want to factorize this. So this is not the difference of 2 squares, it's not grouping, it's not a quadratic, so we have to use the HCF method. So the first thing we need to do is to treat with the 6 and the 12, right? So you deal with your integers first. So you have 6 and 12. The HCF of 6 and 12 is actually 6. So we're going to factor out the 6, right? So we've dealt with the whole numbers. Then look at the a now. You have a squared and you have a fourth. The HCF of those 2 variables, right, is actually a squared. Remember, HCF is your highest common factor. Right, and then we need to look at the b. you have b cubed and you have b. So the HCF of b cubed and b is actually b. Right? Open brackets. So 6a squared b multiplied by what will give me 6a squared b cubed. Right? All we need to do here is put b inside here. Put back whatever the sign is. So this is a plus. Now you want to get back 12. So therefore this needs to be 2, because 6 by 2 will give me 12. You want to get a fourth. So this has to be a squared. And then but we don't need to do anything with the b. So it's right. So it's 6a squared b open brackets b plus 2a squared. So I'll make sure that's correct. Huh? I'm missing something here. This should be b squared, right? Because you want to get b cubed. Alright, so this should have been b squared inside the brackets. Alright, so this is the answer for part 1. That's this. So let's work on the second part. The second part has 2m squared. So it's 2m squared plus 9m minus 5. Right? This is a quadratic expression, right? And we're going to do it the way that I showed you all to do it in class. Right? So the first thing we need to do, we need to find two numbers whose sum is equal to whatever this term is here. So my sum is 9 and my product, so this is product, right? In this case, the product in this case will be this multiplied by this. So that is 2 multiplied by minus 5, which is minus 10. So I want to get two numbers whose sum is 9 and whose product is minus 10. Right? So can somebody answer that for me? So I'm seeing some answers. I'm seeing Ariane and Daryl saying minus 1 and plus 10. Let's double check that. Minus 1 and plus 10. Let's see. Alright, so they are saying minus 1 and plus 10. Let's see. Minus 1 multiplied by 10 gives me minus 10. That's true. And minus 1 plus 10 gives me 9. Okay, so we can work with that. Those two numbers seem to be right. So remember what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to replace, so this will be 2m squared, and we're going to replace the middle term, and we're going to put minus m plus 10m minus 5. Right? Because the whole objective is to replace the middle term. Then we're going to factorize the first two terms by grouping and the last two by grouping. So if we look at the first two terms, we have m common, so we can pull out m. So this will be m open brackets 2m minus 1. Right? I told you I don't worry too much about the sign. So what you have common to the 10m and the minus 5? You can pull out 5. And this will be 2m, and because we're doing this method that we're using here, is going to be factorizing by grouping essentially. The two brackets need to be the same. So we know this has to be minus 1. So the only way to get that now is for this sign here to be a plus. So when we factorize this, we're going to get 2m minus 1 by m plus 5. Alright? So when we factorize the quadratic, that is what we are getting for the solutions. Okay? And that is May 2008. Right? So what happened here, we have two May 2008 people, right? I think May 2008 was when there was a problem in Trinidad and some students, I don't know how they got the paper. So everybody in Trinidad, I believe, had to write a different paper from the rest of the region. All right? So the first part, they want us to simplify completely 3a minus 1 squared, right? We just did a question very similar to this, right? So it's 3a minus 1. So it's 3a minus 1 squared, right? How we do that? This will be 3a minus 1 multiplied by 3a minus 1, right? So we had a question just now where they wanted us to expand and simplify, which is what we're going to do here. So what we need to do, if we have two brackets to multiply, we're going to take this first 3a and multiply by this. Then we're going to take that 3a and multiply by this. We also have to multiply minus 1 by this and minus 1 by this, right? So let's go. So the first one, 3a multiplied by 3a, that gives me 9a squared. Then the next term would have been 3a multiplied by minus 1, which is minus 3a. Then this term here will be minus 3a as well. And then minus 1 by minus 1 gives me plus 1. So this gives me 9a squared, and 3a minus 3a is minus 6a plus 1. Alright, so that is one way to simplify something like this. Alright. So part B now, they want us to make P the subject of the formula. Alright, so the equation we have here is Q equals 5 over 3 plus P. So Q is equal to 5 over, I think it's 3 plus P. I'll double check on this. So Q equals 5 over 3 plus P. And you want to make P the subject. When they tell you make P the subject of the formula, what they want you to write an equation that says P is equal to something. Alright? Now, we have Q equals 5 over 3 plus P. Now the first thing I would do here, right? Remember, like I said in class, I don't like to work in fractions. So Q is the same as saying Q over 1. Alright? So what I will do, I will cross multiply. I will say this by this is equal to this by this, right? Remember in class I told you all, when you have something like A over B is equal to C over D, we can cross multiply, and we can say A multiplied by D is equal to B multiplied by C, right? This is something that's very important, especially when we are simplifying expressions. So when we cross multiply here, we're going to get Q multiplied by 3 plus P, which is equal to 5. Next thing we need to do, we need to remove the brackets. So we're going to use the distributive law again. So Q multiplied by 3 gives me 3Q, and then Q multiplied by P gives me plus QP, which is equal to 5. Right? Now the question is asking to make P the subject of the formula. So therefore QP is equal to 5 minus 3Q. So therefore P is equal to 5 minus 3q over q. Alright, so that is my expression for p, right? So whenever you have to change the subject of the formula and you have fractions, sometimes you're going to have to cross multiply. Just be careful when you're cross multiplying. So that was part B. And then they have they gave us something else to factorize again. So we want to factorize part 1 and part 2, right? So in the first part we have 3mn minus 6n squared, right? So some students, they're going to look at this and they're going to say, oh, it's a difference of 2 squares. That is not true. Even though you have a minus sign here, the two variables, the 3mn and the 6n squared, they are not square variables, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to see what is common to both of them. If we deal with the numbers first, the HCF of 3 and 6 is actually 3, right? M is not common to both of them, but you have an n and you have an n squared here. So therefore the HCF in this case is n, right? So therefore what is going in the brackets will be m minus 2n, right? And that's as far as we can factorize this. Okay, then for part 2 now we have 25 p squared minus q squared, and now if you look at this now, we have a minus sign, and the 25p squared is a square variable and the q squared is also a square variable. So we can write that as 5p squared minus q squared. And therefore when we factorize this, because this is the difference of 2 squares, it's going to be 5p plus q multiplied by 5p minus q. Alright, so you all need to make sure you know how we factorize the difference of 2 squares. A squared minus b squared can be written as a plus b multiplied by a minus b. Cool? So let's see what else we have to work out in this question. So we factorized this already, we've factorized this. Now we want to solve a pair of simultaneous equations, right? All right, so sometimes CSEC might force you to use a method in order to solve a simultaneous equation, right? So we can use, I was saying there are 4 methods, right? First method is substitution as the first method. The next method is elimination, right? We can use a graph. So we can draw a graph and we can solve a simultaneous equation, right? You can also use what we call the matrix method, right, which we covered in class. So there are different ways to solve a simultaneous equation, right? Typically, if it comes as a question 2, chances are you're going to have to use substitution or elimination, right? And if they don't specify, then it's totally up to you, right? Now, for this particular one here, I'm going to use elimination. So I'm going to call this equation 1, and I'm going to call this equation 2. So I have 2 equations here. Now, in order to do elimination or to use elimination, remember the equations in this for this particular one is in terms of x and y. So we must either eliminate y or eliminate x. But in order to do that, this here, so this is 3x and this is 2x. The two x's need to be the same if I'm eliminating x. If I'm eliminating y, then this here and this here has to be the same. Now, I can decide to eliminate x or I can decide to eliminate y, right? So I'm going to eliminate x in this case. Actually, that might be too easy. Let's eliminate y. Right, the option is yours in the exam, but I'm going to eliminate y here because some students may get some problems. So here's what we're going to do. In order to eliminate y, the two y's must be the same. Notice I have minus 2y and 3y, right? So what I could do, I can say equation 1 multiplied by 3. If I multiply equation 1 by 3, I need to multiply every single thing that makes up that equation by 3. So I'm going to get 9x minus 6y is equal to 19 multiplied by 3, which gives me 57. Right? So all I've done, the first equation I've multiplied by 3, and let's give it a name now. So let's call this equation 4. Right? Then I'm going to take equation 2, which is the original equation that it gave me, and I'm going to multiply by 2. If I multiply equation by 2, I'm going to get 4x plus 6y, which is equal to 8. And I'm going to call that equation, let's call it equation 4 and call this one 3. Sorry about that. Let's put this as 3. Right? So if you're wondering where I got this number from and where I got this number from, I got it from these things here. Right? What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to make sure, because I want to eliminate y, I need both the y variables in both equations to be the same. So notice I have minus 6y and plus 6y. Now there's a reason why I kind of chose this method here to show you what to do. Now my next step now, I need to eliminate y. So what I'm asking you now, I'm going to ask you a question. Do I add my two equations or do I subtract my two equations? Right? So I'll wait for you all to answer that. Should I add or subtract? Alright, so I'm seeing people saying, some saying subtract, some saying add. So let's see, Saeed, Aryan, they all said to add, right? And because you all in my class, you know exactly what to do. Alright, so we're gonna add. That's what we need to do. You want to add because you want to eliminate y. Alright, so if I add, so we're gonna say add equation 3 and 4. So we're going to add the two equations, right? So 9x plus 4x gives me 9 and 4 is 13. So this is 13x. Now remember, you have minus 6y. You have minus 6y here and you have plus 6y. So minus 6y, if we add the equation plus 6y, we're going to get 0. That's the only way you're going to eliminate it. If you were to subtract both of them, it will be minus 6y minus 6y, which is minus 12y, in which case you have not eliminated anything. So the only way to eliminate the y is to add the two equations, right? So this is so 57 plus 8 gives me 65. So therefore x is equal to 65 divided by 13, so therefore x is equal to 5, right? So I've solved for y already, for x, sorry, right? So x is equal to 5. Now once you find one of your variables, all you need to do is to substitute it into any one of the equations we have here. So I'm going to choose an easy one. Let's say I'm going to choose equation 2. So I'm going to say substituting x equal 5 into equation 2, right? In which case it'll be 2 multiplied by x is 5 in this case, plus 3y, which is equal to 4. So 10 plus 3y equal 4, 3y equal 4 minus 10. So 3y is equal to 4 minus 10 is actually minus 6. So therefore y is equal to minus 6 over 3. So therefore y is equal to minus 2. Alright? So this is how we solve a pair of simultaneous equations using elimination. Right? So far in the class I've shown you how to do substitution. Right? The first one we did was substitution. The second question we got, I did it by elimination, and this one I also did it by elimination. Right? So moving on, trying to get as much questions as I can in this session, right? So this one is May 2009. Alright, so this is May 2009, and they asked us to factorize 3 different things. So the first one, part 1, right? They given us an expression and they want us to factorize. If you look at it carefully, we have 4 terms, right? So more than likely it's going to be factorizing by grouping. So that's right. So we have 2ax plus 3ay minus 2bx minus 3by, right? And you want to factorize by grouping. So when you're factorizing by grouping, you bring terms that have something similar in common, right? So if we look at the first 2 terms here, we have a common to both of them. So the only thing I can really pull out here is a, and I can write this as 2x plus 3y. Then if we look at the second 2 terms, we have this and this. We have, the only thing that's common there is b. So we can pull out b, and then what we're going to put inside the brackets, it'll be 2x, and because we're factorizing by grouping, the 2 brackets need to be the same, eh? So this has to be plus 3y. And if we want to get this term and this term, it means that the sign that we're going to use here has to be a minus sign. Alright? So when you factorize this now, you realize 2 brackets are the same. So this is going to be 2x plus 3y multiplied by a minus b. Cool? So that's how we factorize that by grouping. For the second one, we have 5x squared minus 20. So this is 5x squared minus 20. So at the start, the only thing common to both of these 2 variables, we can factor out the 5. So this becomes 5 multiplied by x squared minus 4. Now some students, they may stop right there, but you can't, because this here, x squared minus 4, is now the difference of 2 squares, right? If that is the difference of 2 squares, then this is going to be 5 multiplied by x plus 2 multiplied by x minus 2. Alright? So be careful with questions like these. Sometimes when you have to use the HCF method, you still have to use the difference of two squares in order to completely factorize something. Okay? Now the third part now, we have 3x squared plus 4x minus 15, right? And you want to factorize that, and that is a quadratic. So if we're going to use the method that I taught you all, we need to find two numbers whose sum is equal to 4 and whose product is equal to, remember to get the product, we need to look at this and this. So that is minus 15 multiplied by 3, which gives us minus 45. Minus 45, right? So I'll give you all a minute. I want you all to tell me two numbers whose sum is 9, and so whose sum is 4, and whose product is minus 45. Actually, it's pretty straightforward, right? So let's see what you all get. So see, Emily and me are saying 9 and minus 5. Daryl also saying 9 and minus 5. I believe that's what it is. Let's check. So they're saying 9 and minus 5. Alright? So 9 multiplied by 5, my minus 5 is minus 45. That's correct. And when we add them, 9 plus minus 5, we're going to get 4. Alright, so that's correct. So what we're going to do, we're going to replace the middle term. So this is going to be 3x squared plus 9x minus 5x minus 15, right? Remember the 9 and the 9x and the 5x coming from this. So this becomes 3x squared. Oh wait, sorry. I forget what I was doing there for a second. So we factorize it. So we, in this case here, we're going to factorize by grouping. So we need to group these two and group these two. So when you factorize this by grouping, you're going to pull out 3x, open brackets, x plus 3, right? Then on the right hand side, the 5x and the minus 5x, the only thing we can pull out there is 5, and this will become x. Now remember, you factorize by grouping, so we need to make sure this is x plus 3. And the only way that will happen is if this sign here is a minus sign. So therefore the final answer is going to be x plus 3 by 3x minus 5. Alright, so for those of you in my class, please make sure that you try to remember how to factorize a quadratic. Alright, because ever so often you're going to get a question like this. Alright, please do not get it wrong in the exam. Now, this is part B now. What they're asking us here. Okay, so it looks like a simultaneous equation again. Let's put it on a separate page. All right. So in this question, we have one packet of biscuit cost X. So we have biscuit, and that is costing X. And then we also have ice cream. So you have ice cream, and that is Y. All right. So they give us some information. One packet of biscuits and 2 cups of ice cream cost $8, while 3 packets of biscuits and 1 cup of ice cream cost $9. Write a pair of simultaneous equation in X and Y to represent the given information above. Alright, so just like any other questions, we're basically translating the words into equations. Alright, so biscuit is x. So my first equation is 1 pack of biscuit plus 2 cups ice cream. So x plus 2y is equal to $8. That's one equation. Second equation is 3 packets of biscuits, which is 3x, plus 1 cup of ice cream, so plus y, equal $9. Alright, so the first part, write a pair of simultaneous equation in x and y to represent the given information. So these are my equations, equation 1 and equation 2. Alright, solve the equations obtained in B1 above to find the cost of 1 packet of biscuit. So be careful there, 1 packet of biscuit and the cost of 1. Okay, so basically all they're asking us to do is solve for x and y, right? And they give us plenty marks for this, F4. So what I would do, because I have in the first equation I have just x here and I have just y here, what I would do, I would use substitution, right? So from my first equation, I can say that x is equal to 8 minus 2y, right? I can say that from my first equation. So what we're going to do, I'm going to substitute x equal 8 minus 2y into equation 2. Right? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to substitute x into equation 2. So what that is going to be is 3 multiplied by x, which is 8 minus 2y plus y equal to 9. Right? Anytime we have to remove brackets, we need to use distributive law. So we're going to say 3 multiplied by 8, which is 24. And then 3 multiplied by minus 2y gives me minus 6y plus y equal to 9. So minus 6y plus y gives me minus 5y. And then I'm going to carry the 24 on the next side. So 9 minus 24 is minus 15. So we have minus 5y equal minus 15. Right? So let's just move this across here. Right? So therefore y is equal to minus 15 over minus 5. And therefore y is equal to 3. Alright? So since we know what y is now, we can figure out what x is. So we're going to say when y is equal to 3, remember you have an expression here ready for x. X is equal to 8 minus 2y, which is this, which is equal to 8 minus 6, which is equal to 2. Alright? So therefore x is equal to 2 and y is equal to 3. Alright? So let's see if I can finish this question quickly. So this last one is from May 2010. First part is a substitution question. We want to find, so we know A, we know B, and we know C. You want to find A plus B plus C. So A is minus 1 plus 2 plus minus 3. Alright? And that will give me, so minus 1 plus 2 is 1. And 1 plus minus 2, I'm sorry, 1 plus minus 3 gives me minus 2. Make sure that's correct. Minus 1 plus 2 is 1. 1 minus 3 is minus 2. Yeah. Alright. So all we're doing is substituting what A is, what B is, and what C is. The next part, they want B squared minus C squared. So that is 2 squared minus 3 squared. 2 squared is 4. Minus, and minus 3 squared is 9. So 4 minus 9 is minus 5. Right? So this part of the question is just substitution. Now, they want us to convert these phrases into algebraic expression. So they want 7 times the sum of x and y. So the sum of x and y is actually x plus y. But they're asking us for 7 times that. So what you're going to do, you're going to do this. 7 times the sum of x and y is written as 7 open brackets x plus y. The next part, they want the product. So product means multiply. Two consecutive numbers means one number after the next, when the smaller number is y. So if your smaller number is y, the number that comes right after y is y plus 1. And they want the product of that. So it's y multiplied by y plus 1. So that's the answer for this part. Right? Then again, they give us a simultaneous equation. So we have two equations here. We have equation 1 and we have equation 2. For this one, I'll just use substitution. So from equation 1, we can say that y is equal to 7 minus 2x. Right? So now we're going to say substituting y equal 7 minus 2x into equation 2. We're going to end up with x minus 2 by y, which is this, equal to 1. So to remove the brackets again, so this becomes x 2 by 7 gives me 14, and minus 2 by minus 2x gives me plus 4x equal 1. So x plus 4x gives me 5x, and I move the minus 14 to the side. So therefore 5x equal 15, and therefore x is equal to 15 over 5, and therefore x is equal to 3. So we've solved for x, but we have an expression for y. So to find for y now, we're going to say when x equal 3, y is simply equal to 7 minus 2 multiplied by 3, which is 7 minus 6, which is 1, right? So therefore x is equal to 3 and y is equal to 1. All right, and that's how we solve those simultaneous equations. And the last part of this question now has to do with factorizing. Right, so this is, like I said, is May 2010. So the first one, we have 4y squared minus z squared. All right, and they want us to factorize this. So if we look at this carefully, this is the difference of two squares. I can write this as 2y squared minus z squared. So we can write this as 2y plus z in one bracket and 2y minus z in the next bracket. Alright, so this is how we factorize the difference of two squares. So this is the answer for the first part. The second part, you realize you have 4 terms. So obviously for this one, we're going to use factorizing by grouping. So this is 2ax minus 2ay minus bx plus by. So what we're going to do, we're going to look at the first 2 terms, see what they have in common. Look at the next 2 terms and see what they have in common. So the first 2 terms, we have 2a common, so this is 2a, and then this will become x minus y. On the other side, we have b common, so you can pull out the b, and this becomes x. Now remember, with factorizing by grouping, the 2 brackets need to be the same. So this has to be x minus y. So once we do that, we can figure out what the sign is. So therefore, this has to be a minus sign. right? So therefore the final answer is going to be x minus y by 2a minus b. Alright, so that's the answer for part 2. And the last part now, we have a quadratic, which is 3x squared plus 10x minus 8. Right? So again, we're looking for two numbers whose sum is equal to 10. Right? Because remember, we look at this term here to figure out what the sum is. And to get the product, it's this multiplied by this. So that is, so my product is equal to minus 8 multiplied by 3, which is minus 24. Alright? So can somebody tell me what two numbers we are looking for there? So, so Mia is saying 12 and minus 2. Let's see what two numbers, 12 and minus 2, let me see if that's correct. So she's saying 12 and minus 2. So let's check. 12 multiplied by minus 2 gives me minus 24, that's correct. And 12 plus minus 2 gives me 10. Okay, so I'm okay with that. So we're going to replace the middle term now, so we're going to say 3x squared plus 12x minus 2x minus 8. Now we're going to just factorize by grouping. So we're going to look at the first two terms and the last two terms. So what is common to both of them here? In the first one, what we can pull out is 3x, and then this become x plus 4. Then on the right hand side, the only thing common there is 2, so we're going to pull out 2, and that will become x. The brackets need to be the same, so this has to be x plus 4. Therefore this sign must be a minus sign. So therefore my final answer is x plus 4 by 3x minus 2. Alright, so when I factorize that, I am going to get this. Alright, so wow, surprisingly, these are all the questions that I put up, and it lasted 42 hours. Alright, so it's exactly 7 now. For my class, I hope that this was productive. Alright, so when we come back next week, Thursday, we're going to continue. Alright, I'll let you know which topic we'll be focusing on. Right, most likely might be measurement, but I'll let you know. Alright, so before we leave, any questions for me? Are we good? Alright, so we'll stop there for now. All right, so you all take it easy and good night. So till next week.